In chemistry, mixtures often need to be separated, and in the next section we're going to look at the separation techniques. There are 5 different separation techniques you need to know for your test, and also when you would need to use each one. In this next clip, several different separation techniques are used to separate salt out from rock salt. Try writing down all the ones you see.
It's the only rock salt mine in the UK, and it's enormous! Hi George. Yeah, I've collected my rock salt sample for analysis, so what do I need to do?
Well done, Trish. I put the rock salt nicely on the weighing paper.
Lovely jubbly. Take 100 grams of fresh crushed rock salt. Add water and mix well for 2.5 hours. The salt dissolves, but of course the clay does not. Pour the mixture through a filter. The clear salt solution passes straight through into the flask. But the brown clay particles are too big to get through the filter paper. Heat the salt solution. The water evaporates, but the salt is left behind. By subtracting the weight of an identical empty beaker from the weight of my salty one, I can calculate I have 94.8 grams of salt.
So, what separation techniques did you come up with? You should have come up with 2 separation processes. The clay and salt were first separated by filtration, and secondly, evaporation. The salt solution was heated, the water turned to water vapour, and the solid salt left behind. But if you had a salt solution, and this time you wanted to keep the liquid and not the solid, the salt, then the separation process needed is different.
You may wish to separate a solution of salt water and keep the water. In this case, the solution is heated in the same way, but the water vapour, or steam, is trapped and channeled into another container where it cools and returns to liquid. Separating a solution in this way is called distillation.
So filtration is used to separate a solid from a liquid. Evaporation is used when you want to separate a soluble solid from a liquid when collecting the solid. Distillation is used when you want to separate a soluble solid from a liquid, but this time you want to keep the liquid. When a mixture of liquids needs to be separated out, for example this crude oil, a process called fractional distillation is used. The different liquids have different boiling points, and as the temperature of the crude oil rises, each liquid in turn reaches its boiling point, vaporizes, and then condenses back again into the liquid. Fractional distillation is used when a mixture of liquids with different boiling points needs to be separated out and collected in large quantities, like the example we just saw, crude oil. But what happens if our liquid comes in very small amounts? Ink is made up of several different pigments, and to separate these colours out, an entirely different process is needed.
Ink is a mixture of coloured dyes dissolved in water. The mixture, or solution, can be separated to show which colours it contains. It's then possible to find out what kind of ink was used. The writing on this piece of card looks as though it was drawn with one kind of black ink. We can test this by taking a sample of the ink used for each letter and placing it on a special paper that acts like blotting paper. The dish contains a small amount of chemical in the form of a liquid that will dissolve the ink. By leaving the paper to stand in the dish, the liquid will gradually soak into it and move upwards. The liquid causes the dyes in the ink to move with it up the paper. As some dyes move faster than others, they'll start to separate from each other showing the different colours contained in the ink. The patterns that look the same were written in the same ink, but the different patterns in the other samples show that more than one ink was used on the card. Separating ink dyes in this way is called chromatography.
So fractional distillation is used to separate a mixture of two or more liquids that have different boiling points. Chromatography is used to separate very small amounts of two or more coloured dyes. That brings us to the end of this section. Don't forget, there is more information in the series book and on our website.